everyone. In this video I'm going to cover how to make animations in random AI prompts. So I'm actually renting a vast AI server for this. This will allow me to render a lot quicker, render with more steps. 32 for Euler, 32 is the full amount of steps generally recommended. So I'm also going to just render 10 different prompts. I have made a few updates. I'll make a separate video on that where you can create your own expansions and presets, and I changed the generation page to look nicer. So we need to find something to animate, and the thing about animation is sometimes you'll make something that'll animate really, really well, and sometimes you'll make something, it'll just come off kind of with a lot of variation to it. So the way my program animates is it literally just puts in the prompt the frame number. And it sounds like something that really won't work at all, but it actually does end up working. And strangely enough, sometimes I find that it actually follows. If you insert the frame number into the prompt, it'll follow some kind of mathematical curve, and you'll actually get more of a coherent animation from start to end. It doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes it's just really random and varied, but it's really nice when it does. And I have on my image right here, you can see the starfish and how it's moving around very coherently and nice between each frame. And that's just an example of that. You can see the eyebrows are kind of moving up and down a little bit. Here's another really good kind of example. This car is kind of squishing in and out. And yeah, so sometimes when you insert the frame number, can lead to some really good animations. I find that some models are more animatable than others. Some samplers are more animatable than other samplers. And some prompts are more animatable than other prompts. I find it's really, really random. Let's do underwater animate IRL. This is a prompt that my friend created. It just has an anime girl underwater, and I quite like it. Let's render 10 of those, and let's see how it comes out. So this is one of the images that came out that was generated. I'm going to see how well it can animate. So there's two ways to animate. You can click this instant animate right here, which will use your default settings. It's one click, but if you remember, I'm actually using a vast AI server. So I'm going to switch over and select animate, which if you remember on the previous video, will take it to what I like to call the canvas or the generate tab, whatever you want to call it. It'll take you back here, and this is already set up the file to animate, but we need to insert the vast AI server. So we've inserted the vast AI server. This is all we need to do, really. It's going to pull all the settings from the animate file, and let's go ahead and see how this turns out. As you can see, this really is all there is to it. You have the frame number in brackets, and here you go. I really don't mind this. This is how you animate stuff. It's extremely simple. In fact, let's go ahead. You can just add more frames. Why not? Let's do that. I think this turned out well enough to do that. So to add more frames, you can click more frames or select more frames. Again, I'm clicking select, so that way I can set up to use the vast AI. And it actually remembers the highest frame and goes one frame up. So this is automatically taken care of for you. It also requests more animation frames here on the image ID. So again, all that's taken care of for you. I'm just going to enter the vast AI. It doesn't matter where Stable Diffusion is running. As long as you can connect to a Stable Diffusion instance, you can use this program. You do not have to run it locally on your computer. This is literally all we need to do. I'm going to click Generate. So whenever you are adding or removing frames, you need to re-update the animation file to reflect those changes. We're going to click on any one of these frames. You see none of them are animated. That's because these are all the extra frames. So we need to go to a particular frame. Let's go up here to the action menu, go to its parent, just like that. Now you can see this is the frames 1 through 5. Let's go over here and click Update Animation. And now we have frames 1 through 10. One of the things we can do is smooth out this animation. This does require an entirely separate program that's not mine, so it's completely and totally optional if you don't want to do this. The program that I use is FlowFrame, and if you click Externalize Frames, as the tooltip says, it copies frames to a different folder that can be used either by itself or one of many AI interpolation, like FlowFrame or DAIN Google Colab. So there's actually a lot more than just FlowFrame out there, but these are really, really good about creating in-between states. And when you do that, this is what comes up. So you have all the frames in here. So if you're going to use the DAIN Colab, these are pretty much ready to drag and drop in. They're named exactly how it wants it to be named. If you are going to be using FlowFrame, they're set up for that too. This also tells you information about it. So we have each frame is 200 milliseconds or 0.2 seconds. There's a total of 10 frames. The entire animation is 2 seconds long. We got 5 frames per second, and we need to have a multiplication factor of about 12 to get the 60 frames a second. So I'm going to open up FlowFrame over here. Again, this is an entirely different program that's not mine. I'm simply going to plug in the source and the destination. You have DAIN right here, but I'm going to use RIFE. I'm going to use the latest RIFE. Unfortunately, I'm going to make an animated GIF, and the highest this program offers is 50 frames a second, which that's fine. And I also have over here to loop it. That way it'll make a nice pretty loop back and forth. Let's go ahead and just start this. And it is done. Didn't come out that bad. It really didn't. We got lucky this time around. And now we have a very smooth 50 frames a second animation generated directly, well, mostly directly from my program, with it smoothed out in a different program. And that's really it. That's literally everything you need to know about frames. Other things you can do is you can actually go into the individual frames. I don't really want to do it because there's no need to, but you can actually delete a frame. And then when you delete a frame, you can go back up here to update animation. Sometimes it'll spit out weird frames. My friend likes to hilariously call them evil frames. Like, you might have one frame where she has like red hair and it's just in one frame. And you just delete that frame out. That way, you know, it keeps it nice and consistent. Another great opportunity of attaching the frame number to the prompt is you can just ask Stable Diffusion, hey, render me this frame number. And so if you say you accidentally delete a frame that you actually want to keep, or you delete a set of frames and you change your mind, you want to re-add them back, you can do that. Say you're deleting certain frames and you're like, let me start over and just render all these frames again. You can do that. It gives you quite a lot of control and flexibility in everything you can do. I hope that you enjoy. Thanks for watching. Bye.